enemies in your office? And you must be like, Michelle, what kind of a question is that? I have tons of enemies in my office. Well, but do you know how to refer to your office enemies? Well, if you don't know, then this is just the perfect video where you have clicked. Today we are learning words to describe your worst office enemy. Don't worry, we'll not go indecent and we'll not use abusive words. We are going to use nice, decent English words to talk about our enemies. So let's get started at Let's Talk with me, and my name is Michelle. So here we have a group of words that we can use to talk about our enemies. So what are we waiting for? Let's look at the first one. The first one is a bully. So you may have heard this word even from little children, all right? When someone troubles little children in their school, someone especially who's more powerful than them, that person is called a bully. So basically, someone who is stronger in power, when he tries to scare the people who are lower in power, he's trying to bully them, okay, which is a verb. And the person who is trying to bully is also called a bully. So here it's used as a noun. So bully is a person who tries to scare others or who tries to intimidate others. Intimidate means to scare others. And if you have someone like that in your office, that person actually needs to be someone from the higher ups, because obviously they are stronger in power, so they can influence the people who are lesser in power. So an example for this would be, my boss is a real bully. He makes us work overtime without pay. So that's how you can use bully to refer to your boss or someone who is higher in authority than you and who tries to scare you and get things done the way they want. All right, now let's look at the next word, which is manipulative. Okay, so do you know someone who becomes friend with you only for their work? So if they need some help from you on one of their projects, suddenly they become your friends. Well, that person is a manipulative person. A person who becomes your friend for their own need. Okay. Who becomes your friend for their own needs. Such a person is called as manipulative person. And to use it in a sentence, you could say, oh, Elena is very manipulative. I cannot trust her. She only talks to me when she needs something. Okay, so your worst office enemy could be manipulative or he could be a bully. With that, we move on to the next expression that we can use. And that is a screw up. So a screw up is a person who always does something wrong. So basically, it's his habit to make a mistake. Okay? A habitual blunderer. Blunderer. So a blunder means a mistake, okay? And a person who makes mistakes is called a blunderer. And a person who makes mistakes as a habit is called a habitual blunderer. So if your boss makes you work with a habitual blunderer, he's actually making you work with a screw up. And if he's assigned you a project with a screw up, there could be only two reasons. Maybe the project is not very important, or your boss wants you to make a mistake because you're with a screw up and he wants to fire you. So if your boss has given you a project with a screw up, I think you should check your LinkedIn profile again. Maybe you might need it for your next job. So be careful about screw ups. They always spoil the work that you are doing. So to use it in a sentence, you could say that, oh, I knew he would get the figures wrong. He's a screw up of a kind, which means he always does something wrong. So your enemy could be a screw up. Well, now with that, we move on to the next person, backstabber. So stab means to put a knife in someone's back. So a person who puts a knife in someone's back is a person who is very nice to you when you're talking to them. Oh my dear, you're just so nice. You're such a great person, so hardworking. And the moment you walk around the other side and this person is like, oh, do you know what he told me? He told me that he's having a divorce. So this person tells your information to other people because he's backstabbing you, which means he is cheating you. So a backstabber is a person who is a cheater or who misleads you. Okay, so backstabber is a person who cheats you behind your back. And to use it in a sentence, you could say that, oh, Shirley is such a backstabber. I would think 3 times before telling her something personal. Okay, now with that, we look at the next word, psycho. Let's be a little bit sensitive to the medical meaning of this word, and that's a warning right now. So psycho is basically a person who has mental illness, and it's not a good idea to make fun of such people because that's a serious mental condition. But when you use it in your English terms, like in the office when we are talking or when we are referring to someone as psycho, we don't mean it actually, which means we do not mean it really or word to word. We are just using it to refer to a person who is very strange, okay? To a person who is very strange. Maybe someone who does not even do their work, sits in one corner counting wrappers from the drawers, and you have no idea why he's still in the office. Maybe because he has some connection with the higher-ups. So such a person could be called a psycho. Okay, now with that we move to the next one, which is snake in the grass. So snake in the grass is an idiom which has the same meaning as a backstabber. So a snake in the grass is a person who is a friend to you face to face, but behind your back they are your enemies because they share your personal information with other people. So snake in the grass means backstabber. And it's really painful to find out that a person whom you once considered a good colleague turns out to be a snake in the grass, which means turns out to be a backstabber. All right, now with that we move to the next word. So the next word that we have is gossip. So gossip basically means to talk about someone's personal life or to make a web of lies about someone and spread rumors, okay? We have all kind of gossips. So there, gossip is a noun where you're talking about the conversation. But some people who gossip, okay, the verb gossip, are also called gossips. Here the word means a noun, which means the person who gossips is also called a gossip. So if you know somebody in your office who goes about sharing everyone's information to the other person, that person is a gossip. And this means to share someone's information, personal information. And to use it in a sentence, you could say that Georgia is such a gossip. If you tell her something, the whole office will know it in 3 days what you've told her. So be careful with gossips. All right, now we look at the next word, which is deceitful. So deceitful, has a similar meaning to a person who is possibly like a manipulative person, all right? So deceitful is someone who is a liar, okay, who lies to you and misguides you, which means he guides you in the wrong direction. So deceitful person misguides you. So a corrupt politician could be deceitful, which means he has 2 faces. So a deceitful person is two-faced, which means he has 2-faced. He can be nice and he can be bad, all right? So another example could be a politician. A 2-faced politician could be deceitful. So this is how you can refer to a person who has 2 faces, which means who can be good and very bad to you at the same time. So that person can be called as deceitful. With that, we move to the next one, arrogant. So arrogant is a person who is very high-headed, which means they look down at everyone. So if a person is very proud, that person is called arrogant. A very proud person. A very proud person. So if you know a person who is very proud, you could say that Emma is very arrogant. I cannot put up with her behavior. With this, we come to the last word of the day, which is weasel. So weasel is a cute little animal who looks almost like a squirrel. And I really don't know what weasel has to do in this list because weasel is very cute. But as we know that English is so tricky, the same way this word weasel is used to talk about a person who is very clever or cunning. A clever or cunning person. Do you have any friend with whom you go out for a dinner and he goes like, oh, I forgot my wallet? Well, even though he has it or he intentionally forgets his wallet whenever he's going out with you, that person is a weasel, which means he is clever or cunning. Okay, so a clever, a cunning or sly person is called a weasel. So to use it in a sentence, you could say that Robert is a weasel. Be very careful with him, which means be careful with him. He's very cunning or clever. Now here we are at the end of the lesson where you have learned quite a few words to talk about your office enemy. So the next time you talk about them, I believe you have enough words to refer to them. I'm sure your new enemy would hate you for knowing all these words, but I hope you use them to talk about people in your life. So thank you so much for staying in this lesson with me. I'll see you guys soon with another lesson. Till then, you take care. Bye-bye.